Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It is Tuesday, it's January 13th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And really, prices were all over the place today. We started off looking like a really nice rally, and then it sold off just as hard. And then we've corrected a little bit, taking some of that sell off back. Today was interesting. You don't see this very often. We started off with one trend, and then it just got steeper. And you can see there's actually two channels there. We finally got a break of this tighter channel here, and we just kind of got mixed up back in this other channel. There was actually a short right there if you were still trading. Let me mark that one. Generally, I don't mark anything after 2 o'clock or so. Um, but again, it was a rally, then it was a huge sell-off, and then we just kind of chopped around, kind of a weak upward choppy looking deal here from that point forward. So but these were very clear channels here, relatively easy to find, nothing too difficult about it. And generally, the trades off the trend line, especially second entries, are the ones we like to look at. So let's talk about them. And let me back out a little so it's a little bit easier to see, and we'll talk about the trades and wrap today up. I'm trying to do this a little earlier today. This was the first trade of the day, real simple to see. You can find this trend line by working off the top first and just dragging it down and kind of waiting on prices to come back to that point. And this first one is a little bit, this might be a little lower, and so then the break is really, a close outside is questionable there. But notice how we got another shot at it here. But generally this stuff works off the closes quite a bit on these trends, these small, these shorter terms. And when I say, this is shorter term, but it's not a whole lot shorter term. This is pretty good trend right here over a pretty good period of time. But this one was relatively easy to see. You got a pullback, and you got a first entry there, a pullback, and then a second entry, relatively bullish bar. This is one you might think about using a limit order because it didn't close on its high, and it couldn't get back above this bar, even though it broke lower first and turned up. But it's right there off that trend line. It is a second entry. And if you caught that one, any runners would have been safe, and you could have ridden this. That's where I would look to be my first logical exit place. When it gets to the other side, you might have also looked for a measured move similar to that. And you see that guy would have I was expecting it to hit right there. It went a little higher, then it corrected, and then it starts moving over. It gets a little bit iffy off the midlines. You pretty much want to see either a nice bullish bar or a second entry, and you don't really get that there, so I think it was too risky to enter. I didn't talk about this trade though, but notice the new low pullback. There's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. It fails, and you get a nice bullish reversal bar. Just take it right there, and or add on there if you're still going right here. But nice move up, and again, you're looking for it to touch the upper side up here somewhere and correct. This one, it's really a first entry count in here, but this looks like two legs over. And notice how we came up short and we overshot it just about that much right there. And so I liked going long right there, looking for it to make that retest. And it did make it fairly quickly. Pretty easy scalp. Didn't get anything much more out of it. Then you start selling off, and you got a little channel working down, correction, and you make a little low there. It keeps making some lowers, but you get your break right here, and you get a couple of legs down, and then you get a pullback first entry. Actually, it's a first entry long off the bottom, pullback, and a second entry right there. So I like that one. And then you get a failed second entry short, so I liked going long there. And you did get a break there, so it's a little bit questionable there. I went back and forth about whether or not to make that one green or not. But I really thought we'd retest that high, and that's the reason I like that failed second. It's a trap. A lot of reasons to look for a long there. and it did end up working out pretty nicely. And then we just basically, this is basically a double top here. Um, this is looking like a range. You can see it looks kind of rangy. Look how flat the EMA's got. So you got to be careful here. So I didn't really like going long or short until we got a failed second entry long right there. So go short right there. And it looked like it was going to turn into a short trout, but it didn't. It just finally shot on down. And then you pull back. You get another second entry short right there. Um, and if you didn't enter there, when it broke higher there and turned down, definitely go short right there. So you really could go short either way. Um, but that's a failed second entry long when it broke lower there. So that's why I like that trade. You should have already probably had your stop waiting below that one. When that ended as a doji, you might have waited to see if it broke higher first and then turned down, that's what happened. So you would have got that opportunity. Then it pulls back again and turns down right here. This one I actually meant to make it green. Forgot to change that one. It's a first entry. It is the first break of this little move down. So you're looking for it to make a new low. But I still liked it. If you wanted to be a little bit aggressive, you notice that this is fairly bearish. So you know that you're probably going to retest this low, but you might get another leg up there. But everything's below the EMA. It's pointing back down starting to point back down fairly steeply right there. And then you get a first entry long, pull back second entry long. So there's a failed second entry long right there, but it's coming off that midline. At that point, I thought that was the channel maybe. But when it broke higher and failed again and gave you this bearish bar, I liked going short there, thinking that we're going to push on down. The fact that we broke through there and then couldn't get back up, and once it goes on through, you're really looking for a measured move to the other side equal to this, and it's probably more like that right there. And that's exactly what you got, and that's where when it hits that point, it bounces, and that's what you're looking for. So this turned out to be a really good trade here. It was, you know, if this was a downtrend all day, going short at the very low of the day, it would have been a little bit more questionable there. But your low of the day is way down here, so you figure we're probably coming back to test that. But you got to be thinking the measured move equal to this upper side down to there. Then we rally. You get second entry short here, and this was the first break of this. This is probably a little bit steeper than what I originally had it. I don't think I drew it quite steep enough. I think it's more like that right there. And then if you correct that, then you see the little break right there. But your little channel needs to hold prices and to move to a new high. But regardless, I like this because it was a second entry short right off the main trend line. And this is the first time we've really gotten back above the EMA. It looked like we were going to bounce off of it, but then you get the little inside bar and it turns down right there. I like going short right there. Boom. It just takes, you don't know it's going to take off. You think it's going to bounce right there and it just shoots on through. But when you do that, then you got to look for a measured move compared to these first two as well. And you see that's going to be right down here, but even that didn't hold. And so by that point, you got to find your new trend line. And I got it off those first two lows and then drug it over. So, you're waiting for prices to come back to here, and it comes back to the tick and gives you, look, there's two legs up. It's a smaller level, but it gives you two legs up and a nice second entry short. And again, you don't know it's going to take off like that. You figure you're just going to get a move down to test the low and maybe go a little bit further, but it just takes on off. And then you get a bounce, first entry, pull back, second entry, it fails, and look at that big bearish bar. Again, it's right off that trend line. Just go short again. And it drops down, and we had a close outside there, and then a new low. It's real close, but you got it. So you got to be careful on taking anything else after that point. But you do get the first leg down and then another measured leg down. So, and then it bounces. And there's a failed second entry short right here, but I didn't like that one. It's too much overlap, some dojis in there. But then it shoots up above the EMA and it pulls back and tests that area right there. And that's really 2 legs back. You can't hardly see it. But look at that bullish bar. Just go long right there. And off it goes. Because you're looking for a correction. We've had a huge sell-off. You're looking for a bounce. And you get it right there. And you really didn't have much else unless you wanted to think about going long there, which I think that's too questionable. But when it traps people to the long side, especially your break, and you've got 2 legs to try to get a new high, and it just makes a double top. So go short right there because that's a long trap. And that was it for today. Not much else you can talk about. I mean, again, you don't see this where you get a lot of these channels that work into a steeper channel. That's usually means you got a fairly strong sell-off. So you got to keep that in mind. And this was 2-tiered. This was 2-tiered. This was 2-tiered. You see a lot of that these days. I just don't remember seeing as many 2-tiered channels back a couple of years ago. It seems like there's always a midline these days for whatever reason. And, you know, that could change at some point. But I think they're always there. I shouldn't say always there. I think they're there a lot, but you don't. They weren't always there, but they seem to be there on a regular basis lately. Sometimes they come into play a lot more than others. But your clue was when you broke lower here, and you did get that. That's a clue that you may break the trend line, and you did that right here. But it got in here, and all it did was make a steeper one. So that was a little bit. I really thought we might go higher here, but we didn't. When you get that trap and right off the trend line right there again, I really wasn't quite sure I had my trend line drawn right. Everything fits like a glove, and you can see when it came back into play down here, the lines came back into play again. So I'm pretty sure it was correct by the end of the day. But at first I just thought I had it a little too steep, and that maybe it was off of this low in here, and that would put it off that, and that gets you back in. But I believe this is correct here based on the way prices reacted when it came back to those same lines again. So interesting day, really good day. You only have to catch a couple of these and catch a runner to have a pretty good day. So anyway, I hope everybody had a good trading day. I'm not going to drag this one out again today. There's not much out of the ordinary here. This is all the channels and everything work pretty standard. You got to break a new high, and the downtrend didn't really start till right here. You had a little, this is all kind of rangy looking. This is where your downtrend, and then it was just a fairly standard channel until right here. But even then, this one wasn't that hard to find. And then you get a break, a couple legs down, and then you got one working up, a break, 2 attempts to go higher, a sell off, and if you draw your trend line, this one's almost straight down, and then you get a break and a new low, and then it reverses again. So and then it comes back just about as fast as it went down. So really interesting day. In the end, we closed almost unchanged from yesterday, maybe down slightly. We closed right in here yesterday. And you can see, you know, we closed not far off that, 4 or 5 points, 5 or 6 points maybe. So not by much, not much change from yesterday, even with all this movement. So we really don't care where prices end up or close. I mean, I like for the market to close higher and keep working higher, simply because it's better for the economy. And, you know, if you've got holding any longer term stocks, it's better for them. But as day traders, we really don't care where the market goes. We just want it to move. And it can, you know, and sometimes the down ones move a whole lot faster than the up ones. So, you know, sell-offs can be beneficial for us as far as day trading. It may hurt you on your other stocks if you're holding any longer term ones, but we're holding them for the long term. So, and we know you're going to see sell-offs from here from time to time. So, you can't let that bother you. You know that it'll come back at some point. So, or at least we hope it does. And so far it always has. So, let's hope that continues. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Not much more you can say about today. Good trading day. Hope you had a good trading day as well. And we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to say one more thing. I'm sorry. Um, Somebody posted something about they were having a hard time finding, the bars were a little bigger. They were having a hard time finding 2-point stops. I don't see that today. This first trade might have been a little large, but most of these are, let's just look at a few of them. Your entry on this one, the bottom of your bar is 35.75 and the top is 37 and a quarter. So what is that? So that's about 1.5. So you got enough room there. That one's not anywhere near 2. Neither one of those are. That one's not. Most of these, I just don't see that. Now, let's look at yesterday. There have been a few big bars. Yesterday, you can see later in the day there were some bigger bars, but generally, your signal bars have not been that big. But anyway, where I'm going with this is if your signal bar is too large to get within your stop above it, like that one's 20.45 and a quarter, and the low is 20.42. So that one's right at 2 points. So what you would probably want to do here is wait for it to break lower and drop you a limit order in there and get you a little better price. Get creative. And you see it did break lower and bounce up. I don't know how high it went. This is during the overnight, but you can see that it did break lower first and then it backed up. So you probably could have, I know you could have gotten filled right there just based on the way the bar closed, but you might have gotten filled another tick or two back into that thing. So that gets you within the 2-point rule that we're looking for. So sometimes when it does get volatile and the bars get big, that's what you have to do. You have to just either skip the trade or get a little more creative on your entries. So keep that in mind. I hope that answers that question for that problem. But and sometimes if you do that though, you'll miss some really good trades because sometimes the best ones just take off. So not much you can do. You either just, the worst thing to do though is chase a trade. So just try to get creative, enter where you can. And if you do miss one, don't let it shake you because that's what gets you. You start chase, you see the market go without you a few times, and then you get antsy and you force a trade, and you miss all the easy ones, and you force yourself into a bad one. And that's the mental aspect of not making mistakes and not letting things. There's always going to be another trade coming. You might have to wait a while, like right here. You had to wait all the way to here. But once it got back to the trend line, great trade. Same thing here. You had to wait on it to come back and give you a trap, and then you got another great trade. So the name of this game is sometimes just being patient and watching trades, watching the market go without you, not letting it shake you up, not letting it affect you. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.